Call meeting to order. First matter is the land acknowledgement. The municipality of Oakland-Wawanesa would like to acknowledge and recognize that we are operating in Treaty 1 and Treaty 2 lands, being the original territory of the Anishinaabe and the Dakota Nations and the homeland of the Métis Nation. First item on the agenda is the adoption. Please be it resolved that the agenda for the September 17, 2024 meeting be accepted as presented. Somebody to move that. Mr. McGregor, second. Councilor McDonald. All in favor? Be it resolved that the minutes of the August 20th, 2024 regular meeting of council be hereby approved as circulated. Councilor McGregor, any errors or omissions? All in favor? Be it resolved that the minutes of the August 20th, 2024 special meeting of council be hereby approved as circulated. Councilor Fisher, any errors or omissions? All in favor? Be it resolved that the September 10, 2024 general accounts payable being checks number 7492 to 7517, 7519 to 7550 in the amount of $217,917.42 be hereby approved by Councilor Donald, seconder, Councilor McGregor. Discussion. All in favor? Be it resolved, general accounts payable, check number 7518 to Guild Insurance in the amount of $1,250 be hereby approved. Fisher, second. Councilor McDonald. All in favor? Get yourself a bill like that. Never turn up there and all. Be resolved, the direct deposit 326 being staff payroll for the period August 5 to August 16, 2024, in the amount of $14,786.21. Fisher, second. Councilor McGregor. Discussion. All in favor? Be it resolved, the direct deposit 327 being staff payroll for the period August 19th to August 30th, 2024, in the amount of $15,840.61 be hereby approved. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Be it resolved that direct deposit 328 being council indemnities for the month of August 2024 in the amount of $5,610.05 be hereby approved. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder Councilor McGregor. Discussion. All in favor? Be it resolved that the September 10th, 2024 utility accounts payable being checks number 1181 to 1188 in the amount of $14,888.86 be hereby approved. Councilor McDonald, second. Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Be resolved that the statement of revenue and expenditure report to August 31st, 2024 be received as presented. Moved by Councilor Fisher, second. Councilor McDonald. Discussion. All in favor? Be resolved that the bank reconciliations for the month of August 2024 be approved as previously circulated. Moved by Councilor McDonald, seconder. McGregor. Discussion. All in favor? Okay.
It's too late. We can't do it until 9:15.
Okay, that's right. We got 10 minutes to do the delegation.
I did move down to communications. Okay, under the order of communications, there are several from the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. They are dated August the 16th, August 20th, August 30th, September the 5th, 2 on September the 6th, and 2 on September the 10th. There was an introduction from Central Canadian Structures. Community collaboration grant recipients. There's some information on the awards that were given. Community Planning and Development, Bill 37, data request follow-up. Federation of Canadian Municipalities, communiques are dated August the 26th, September 3rd, and September the 9th. There's information from the MLA for Sprucewood, Grant Jackson, for a request for additional RCMP resources. There was a response received back from Grant Match with respect to the Green and Inclusive Community Buildings Fund. There was a launching success luncheon for the Indigenous Chamber of Commerce. Lions Club of Wawanesa sent a thank you letter. Manitoba On-Site Wastewater Management Association sent information on their training and services. Municipal World provided their August newsletter, and Shergrove Farm Services provided information on their emergency procedures.
Okay, we've resolved that the above noted communications be received. Councilor Fisher, seconder Donald. Discussion. All in favor? Committee reports. Councilor Jones has his report in. Sir Fisher, you have a written report. Anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Councilor Hatch has a written report. Who has a written report? Councilor McDonald, you have a written report. Anything to add to it?
Nothing to add.
Councilor McGregor, your written report. Anything to add? Add to mine. CAO's report. Anything further?
I would just note that we are ready to go for the tax sale this afternoon.
Finance report.
Yeah.
Public Works, written report. Anything to add to it?
Yeah.
Mayor Chief's report. Yeah. Okay, we've resolved that the verbal and written reports be received. Moved by Councilor Fisher, seconded McGregor. Discussion. Councilor McGregor.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a couple of questions for Chelsea, if that's okay.
Yep.
I noted that we've repaired the old speed sign. Where the speed sign is going to be deployed? Because we have new ones from MPI. Right? So I'm just wondering where we deploy.
The other ones?
Yeah.
I thought down by the school would be a good spot for one. Yeah, any suggestion?
I just know there's been concerns in Carroll. So there, but
We could put one in. You want two there?
I'm just putting it out as a suggestion.
Okay.
It's been a concern that's been raised, so.
Figure out where strategically where the problem exists. I think it's just the one road going in that was concerned that I understand anyway, but maybe we should.
Well, there is only one real road through there. Like,
Well, there's one paved road, but there's the side roads that there, I think there were some concerns about that. There, somebody asked for, I think, for
Speed bumps.
speed bumps, not very long, so.
Right.
We should maybe have administration for this report, follow up on that.
Yeah.
It would just even be interesting to get data, right? Because we can get.
Well, I don't think the old ones get the data. I mean, we could, only one of them was working. properly, So I would have to figure out how to do the iCloud. It may take some more time, but I can figure it out.
My other question was, we've had the light deployed at the Lake Lenny mailboxes for a while now. Is that? Should we be?
Yes, actually just talked to a repair about it. They said that it's maybe not as bright as they would like, and if it was raised up, it could be vandalized, but if we raise it up, it'd probably be less bright, so we're gonna maybe explore a couple of them.
Once we find something that works, we'll look at expanding that.
Right, to the other ones, yeah.
And just a heads up for you, when we get to the road recommendation, I'm going to be asking for.
All in favor? Okay, we're going to,
Depends on how much discussion you might have on the special levy information that was provided as to whether or not we could get through it by 9:15. Or I could slowly start calling for.
well, let's go to. Let's try the.
Okay.
So special levy, special services levy for recreational services. It resolved that the draft special services levy for recreational services be received for consideration at the public hearing to be held October 15, 2024 at 6:30 PM in the council chambers. Let me move that. Your second, Councilor McDonald, discussion on it. If you want to.
Just. Wendy had provided some information on what her numbers were. The one question I did have was she had noted in the class 30 designation that if there was a combined class 30 and a class 10, that she had removed the class 10 in order to keep the most benefit for the class 30, which I believe was the thought when you were putting the special levies in place. If council has any thought that they would like to change that, today would be the day to let me know, and I'd be asking Wendy before we actually start to advertise on the documentation. It didn't make for a large change going forward. The biggest thing I would note is that the special levy had allowed for a 2% increase each year. That hasn't necessarily always been needed. So there would be the opportunity when council does its budget preparation that if you decided to reduce that amount down a bit, there would not be a need to do another public hearing on these because it would actually reduce the amounts. So taking a look here, the costs for the recreation levy, the 2024 amount ended at 115.9 and a bit. That amount wasn't necessarily used. The 2025 and going forward starts at the 116.070. The council did decide that they wanted to reduce that a little bit. It would just reduce the amount that we're putting on the special services levy. Again, these are approximates based on where the budget goes.
It was a certain percentage increase every
It
year,
was.
inflation and everything else to inflate.
Yes. There was a couple of instances where this includes the grant to water, that it doesn't always get utilized depending on what the water usage is.
Class 30 and class 10. Class 10 with the residential.
Home to the ag grounds, yeah.
Any concerns? Okay. All in favor? Okay, special levies for collection and transportation of waste and recyclable materials be resolved that draft special services levy for the collection and transportation of waste and or recyclable materials be received for consideration of the public hearing to be held October 15, 2024, immediately following the recreation services public hearing in the council chambers. Moved by Councilor McGregor, seconder Councilor Fisher. Discussion. Anything that you want to ask?
The only thing I would remind council is that this will be a year to go to tender. The amounts were bumped up a little bit to account for that. If there are any drastic changes or if the province comes into play with what they're doing with the recyclable materials program that they are initiating, we may very well have to go back and amend the bylaw.
Questions, all in favor?
To public hearings.
Okay, be resolved that the regular meeting of council be recessed to allow council to hold public hearings to receive representations from a person who wish to make them in respect to a conditional use of various variation applications. Moved by Councilman McDonald, second Councilman McGregor. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Public hearing on conditional use application C1/2024 to allow for a secondary suite in the agricultural general zone on part of the southeast quarter 25/8/17 WPM Thompson.
And that one has been withdrawn by the applicant as of early this morning.
So we will cross that off. Next is a public hearing on conditional use application C2/2024 to allow for a non-farm dwelling in an agricultural general zone on part of southeast quarter 21/8/19 WPM. Swiftowski. Anybody wish to make representation on in regard to this matter?
There's no one.
Since there's no one. Whereas all representatives in conditional use application number C2/2024 will allow a non-farm dwelling on the agricultural general zone on part of southeast quarter 21/8/19 WPM Swiftowski been dealt with, therefore be it resolved that the public hearing be concluded. Can you move that, please? Your second, Councilor McDonald, all in favor? Public hearing on conditional use application C3/2024 to allow for a home industry for auto repairs and sales in the agricultural general zone on lot 2, plant 2505, part of southeast quarter 7/8/18 WPM. Williams and Fraser. Would we wish to make representation in regard to this matter?
I would let council know the applicant is in the audience if there are any questions.
Do you have any questions in regard to the matter?
Okay, there's no one coming forward.
Whereas all representatives in regard to the conditional use application of C3/2020 allow home industry on the agricultural general zone in lot 2, plant 2505, part of southeast quarter 7/8/18 WPM. William Fraser have been dealt with, therefore be it resolved, public hearing be concluded and council resume its normal order of business. Moved by Councilor Fisher, seconder Councilor McGregor, all in favor? Carried.
And I'll let the applicant know that the actual decision on the matter will be considered under general business.
Now you're going to
Have a delegation come forward from Manitoba Emergency Measures.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you so much for having me to come up here today to speak to you. For those who don't know me, my name is Madison Black. I'm the Regional Emergency Manager for the Southwest region of Brandon, and that includes Oakland. So I'm just really excited to be here today to speak to you about what your roles are as elected officials within emergency management. So as we all know, emergency management really begins at the local level. So when there's an emergency or disaster occurs in a community, it will first be responded to with local resources such as police, fire, EMS, or anything else that needs it. And then emergency management really begins with the coping capabilities of local resources have reached its threshold. And that's when emergency management begins. Every local authority in Manitoba is responsible for the protection of life, people, property, and the environment. So some objectives of this presentation are to introduce basic emergency management concepts. We'll discuss your role as elected officials. We'll talk about states and local emergencies, and we'll talk about what supports Manitoba EMO can offer your local authorities. So as elected officials, it is your role and responsibility to assist with the facilitation of your emergency management program in cooperation with your municipal emergency coordinator, who will also help to facilitate that program. So you guys are a group of senior municipal officials to oversee the establishment of the program and its components, as well as to assist with the coordination, preparation, and implementation of the program and its components. So some definitions just to make it all are understanding of basic emergency management terms. An emergency is a present or imminent situation or condition that requires action to prevent loss of life, harm or damage to safety, health, welfare of people, or damage to the property or the environment. And emergency management itself is the function of organizing, planning, and applying measures through which communities or organizations reduce vulnerability to hazards and cope with emergencies and disasters. And your emergency management program will be a program that will reduce vulnerability to hazards within your community and increase the emergency management and disaster resilience. And it will also establish and formalize the processes used to prevent, mitigate, prepare for, and respond to and recover from emergencies and disasters. So a local authority, when we talk about that, that just means a council of a municipality, council of an incorporated city, town, and village, the resident administrator of a council or local government district. The municipal emergency coordinator is a person hired / appointed by the local emergency response control group with approval of the local authority to coordinate, prepare, and implement municipal emergency management program. And the local emergency response control group is a group of municipal department heads and subject matter experts that assists the MEC in coordinating, preparing, and implementing the municipal emergency management program. So I've been talking a lot about emergency management, and it's done for a variety of different things. So it's typically done through mitigation efforts, preparedness, response, and recovery efforts. And I'll talk about each of those phases and what activities are included in each phase. So mitigations are actions taken to reduce the impacts of risks or hazards before an event occurs. So this could include things such as land use planning, taking insurance incentives to flood-proof buildings, building protective walls around lines, getting sandbanks in your communities, potentially putting in a rain dike, those types of things. Preparedness involves preparing for an emergency or disaster before it begins. So this would include things such as reviewing and updating your emergency fund, ensuring your mutual aid agreements are in alignment, conducting training and exercises within your local authority or municipality, putting on public education sessions to alert everyone and to know more about your emergency processes and procedures. Next, response is activities taken during an emergency. So this could include things such as declaring a state of local emergency, enacting your emergency plan, conducting a townwide evacuation, having everyone shelter in place, communicating with the public. Those are some typical responses. Next, recovery or actions taken after an emergency to return the community to an acceptable level. So this would be restoring essential services. It could be conducting a community impact assessment, be rebuilding. It could include financial assistance, counseling, or any other supports that your community may need post-disaster. So some common preparation, or some common preparedness responsibilities that elected officials will undertake is approving the components of the emergency management program, providing guidance and advice on important local authority issues to your municipal emergency coordinator, providing jurisdictional authority on decisions that require a level not permitted to the municipal emergency coordinator, participating in emergency exercises and other training to understand key concepts of emergency management. So your municipal emergency program, its essential function is to reduce your vulnerability to impacts of hazards, and increase your emergency management resilience and disaster resilience. So your emergency management program is typically comprised of a variety of different things. It would include your emergency plan, your business continuity plan, your hazard risk and vulnerability assessment, conducting exercises, conducting public education, training your staff and your municipal people on these programs and processes, creating the local emergency response control group, ensuring your mutual aid agreements are up to date and in place, and as well as various administrative and financial. So some response rules for elected officials, this would be during an emergency, would be to activate the emergency plan, make decisions that are beyond the scope of the authority of the municipal emergency coordinator and the emergency operations center. So an example of that would be declaring a state of emergency. Approving messaging for the public and the media, any other roles or responsibilities that are identified in the emergency management plan. So next we'll talk about declaring a state of local emergency and just some key points to remember about state of local. So the first thing that I would really like to stress is that emergency powers cannot be taken lightly. When you declare a state of local emergency, there's 12 powers that you can have access to, and you will identify one of them when you declare a state of local emergency. And these powers restrict rights to people, property, and the environment. So it's something to take really seriously. Next, emergency powers must be used for the right purpose. So if you declare a state of local emergency and you pick a specific power that you would like to use, that is the one that you will have to stick to. Powers are not for making a political statement or getting around a provincial regulation or process. The minister responsible for managing EMO has the ability to cancel a state of local emergency if it is being used for purposes other than an emergency or a disaster. Number 3, orders must be issued for emergency powers that are used. For instance, to enter a land without warrant, an order must be issued and a copy of the order should be provided to the land. And that would be the order, the emergency, the state of local emergency power that's being active. Next, something to keep in mind is that compensation is required. So any actions taken under state of local emergency by the local authority is required to be compensated after the emergency. So a great example of this is if someone's property is used or demolished, the local authority is responsible for compensating the property owner. And next, a state of local emergency is only used for an imminent threat. So when an emergency is imminent and there is no time to gather resources or to act, then it is not intended to be extended over long periods when proper planning and sufficient time is available. So essentially what's that saying is that it's for a current emergency happening right now. It's not for an emergency happening a week from now or a month from now. It's for an emergency currently occurring. So next, I've been talking about these 12 powers, and I'd like to just take the opportunity to read the different powers too that can be used during a state of local emergency. So the first one is A, cause an emergency plan to be implemented. Next is to utilize any real or personal property considered necessary to prevent, combat, or alleviate the effects of an emergency or disaster. Next is to authorize or require any qualified person to render aid, such type as that person may be qualified to provide. Next is to control, permit, or prohibit travel to or from any area or on any road or highway. Next is to cause the evacuation of persons and the removal of livestock, personal property, and make arrangements for the adequate care and protection thereof. The next one is to control or prevent the movement of people and the removal of livestock from any designated area that may have a contaminating disease. Next, authorize the entry into any building or lands without warrants, or to cause the demolition or removal of any trees, structures, or crop in order to prevent, combat, or alleviate the effects of an emergency or disaster. Next is to authorize the procurement and distribution of essential resources and the provision of essential services. Next is to regulate the distribution and availability of essential goods, services, and resources. Next is to provide the restoration of essential facilities, the distribution of essential supplies, and the maintenance and coordination of emergency media, social, and other essential services. And the last one is to expend any sums as are necessary to pay expenses caused by the emergency or disaster. So next, I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about Manitoba EMO and how we can support your local. So a little bit about Manitoba EMO is that we oversee and coordinate all aspects of emergency preparedness within the province. We do this by working directly with our municipal emergency coordinators and also local authorities. So some things that we do is we coordinate the response of all provincial departments to a major emergency or disaster. And some different supports that we offer to you is each region. So we have broken up the province into 7 different regions. And each region has their own regional emergency manager. I am the regional emergency manager for the South region. And each different region has their own emergency manager who specifically assists the local authority and the municipal emergency coordinator with anything that they may need emergency management wise. So in addition to that, we have an emergency management training program. So we offer courses available online for anyone to take, and they include things such as concepts of emergency management. They also include emergency operations center, building an emergency plan, and other different courses like that. We also offer a provincial emergency exercise program. So if you, like Liam, for example, if you want to exercise and you would like some assistance with that, what we can do is we can review it together and assist in any way possible that you may need. We also have a duty officer program. So the duty officer, their function is to respond to any emergencies at any time, 24/7. And so the number for that phone line is 204-945-5555. So if you have an emergency, you will call that number and then they will deal with it as need be. Next, we have a province-wide alerting system. So we issue emergency alerts for a variety of different events. We have this app called Alertable, which provides up-to-date information on emergency alerts for weather-related hazards. And I recommend downloading it if you haven't done so already. We coordinate emergencies by activating our Manitoba Emergency Coordination Center. And so it was activated to 11 this summer due to the wildfires going on, but we're now back to normal operating status. So we're down to level 1. Next, we have field staff that will assist local authorities in their emergency operations center with provincial reporting, resource logistics, and overall advice and guidance during a response. So thank you so much for having me here today. In your presentation booklet on the last slide is the contact for the duty officer, contact for general inquiries, and my contact number. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. And does anyone have any questions I can answer?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for your presentation. I just want to go back to the compensation being required. Who determines what appropriate compensation is, and happens if the property owner, what's their option?
Sorry, are you referring to like when a state of local emergency like is declared?
Yeah, and somebody's property ends up being, who determines what?
Well, that would be, so let's say, let's take an example from this local authority. Let's say the house right across the street needed to be, I don't know, demolished in some kind of way to deal with an emergency that is. So let's say the RML, or sorry, the municipality of Oakland-Wawanesa decided to use their, I don't know, public works equipment or whatever to go through that yard, demolish something, to deal with the present emergency. Then whatever sums expended, the municipality of Oakland-Wawanesa would be responsible for restoring that property back to its pre-disaster level. And so I guess like the monetary sums would be whatever you guys spent to return that property back to normal. If the property owner doesn't agree, I think there would have to be a review of some kind. What that review process looks like, I will have to take that away and get back to you.
Thank you.
If I could, just confirming that conducting exercises is now part of the act. They had softened it a bit during COVID times, but it is a requirement moving forward.
Absolutely. Actually, Liam, can I see that documentation? Thank you so much. So right I have here is the local authorities emergency planning and preparedness regulation. This is available online for anyone to read. Just have the exercise requirements right here. So I'll just read them out to you. So a tabletop exercise, according to this regulation, a local authority must carry out a table exercise at least once each year, unless an exercise under subsection 3 is carried out in that year. Next, a mandatory functional exercise. So a local authority must carry out a functional exercise or full-scale exercise that is approved by the coordinator as being sufficient magnitude at least once every 4 years. So to summarize, the tabletop exercise is mandatory once a year, and then full-scale exercise is mandatory once every 4 years, according to this regulation. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Be resolved that the president, Madison Black, from the Manitoba Emergency Management Organization be received. Second, Councilor Fisher, all in favor? Okay.
Now under general business.
Under general business, be it resolved that conditional use application, well, it's just Thompson now. Deal with that one. Conditional use application C2 2024. Be it resolved that conditional use application number C2 2024 to allow a non-farm dwelling aggregate agriculture general zone, a part of southeast quarter 21819 WPM. Vistovsky be approved. So please move that. Councilor Barry move it. Second, Councilor McDonald. Discussion. Favor. Carried. Conditional use C3 2024 be it resolved the conditional use application number C3/2024 to allow home industry for auto repairs and sales in an agricultural general zone on lot 2, plan 2505 on part of southeast quarter 7818 WPM. Williams Fraser be approved. Move that. Councilor McGregor, second Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor?
If I could note for council, if you recall, the Vistovsky application was part of their subdivision. Included in that was the requirement for a minor variation, which changed the land size for the residual lot. Didn't require council approval because it's a minor variation. Just in case you were wondering why that wasn't on the agenda, that was the reason.
Okay, be it resolved in accordance with section 326 and 300 of the Municipal Act, the taxes added and canceled listings provided by the province's provincial assessment branch and supplementary taxes in the following months be approved. Taxes added, $26,117.43, and taxes canceled, $3,007.53. Move that, please. Councilor McDonald, second Councilor Fisher. Discussion. All in favor? Okay. Be resolved that 500-meter portion of Road 106 West be permanently closed between Highway 2 and Road 41 North, as highlighted on the Public Works Manager dated September 10th, 2024, to allow a cut to be made to facilitate a continuous flow of water. Move it. Okay, move it. fail then?
No. I would suggest that if council wants some other method applied, that this would be a time to bring forward a motion to do so.
Let's go.
Go ahead. Rick. No, you go. That's fine.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to see, explore options, possibly opening this culvert or putting a new one in and see basically, try whether maybe or something to utilize it so the farmers can utilize it.
You want to make a motion for that?
Yes.
So far, I've got be it resolved that alternative methods of dealing with the water issue considered. Are you wanting a report back to council, or you, I don't know, if Public Works has some information readily available that they could provide some additional information to you?
Maybe we'll put it this.
Okay.
So it resolved that
An alternative method
dealing with the water issue to be considered.
be approved, and you can decide the be approved part once you hear what costs might be.
Yeah, so somebody to move that, Councilman McDonald, you put it forward, you just move it,
Yes.
second it. Take discussion. Do you have alternatives available to us at this point?
I have two options. One of them would be cut the road, install like a rock swale, permanent rock swale where farm equipment will be able to pass through. Maybe not as easily for smaller vehicles. However, it's an all-season road anyway.
Dry weather road. Not all.
Or sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. And the other option would be replace the culvert. Culvert's looking at about 1,400 delivered. Contractor would be about $3,000. Locates have already been done. And I already have a
Mr. Chairman, just, I would, for liability reasons, I think I'd rather see a culvert than a rock swale in there just for liability. Personally.
lean more towards getting a contractor to do it with a backhoe, because I think that there's gonna be a lot of reeds in that area that are gonna have to be cleared out. See what they're doing, and I don't think our backhoe.
Okay.
We also have,
What cost would that bring?
we're looking at probably about
in?
under 6,000. We also have 8,000 left in our. We could utilize.
Okay, so you have 1,400 for culvert here, but you're gonna say you've got a culvert already, so don't be
No.
Already ordered.
Order,
all ordered.
yeah.
Would that cost include some, would we need to put some gravel or something over top of that to build it up over that pipe? Would there be some?
There have to be, so that would be including that, we're looking at $1.71 per yard. Probably, I was estimating 15 loads. So we're looking at about $300, give or take, just.
Thank you. I just think it's, build it up, we're gonna go through.
Oh, we would have to, yeah, it's 5 feet lower than.
Is there a necessity to do this right away?
Gotta be cut, gotta be cut now and get rid of the plot.
Dry fall, it's a good time to do it.
Contractor coming in to do another culvert on the Dunray. And I think it would be in our best interest to have them address this while they're here. They'd save us some money.
There's stabilization.
Yeah, exactly.
We have 8,000 in that, in the culvert budget. Is there anything else as far as budget? Was that?
Yeah, I think if you're looking road repairs, possibly not road reconstruction budget, because that's tied to projects.
there is mulching and ditching. There's 8,000 in that as well. So if we did have to utilize some of the money there.
What do we have in road repair at this point?
20,000.
Are you utilizing that? Are we expecting any bills on the road?
That was for the money from the gas tax.
No, that's road reconstruction.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Road repairs, I believe, was if there was any major blowouts or anything, potholes or that had to be dealt with. I believe most of that has been addressed by this point in time.
Yeah.
So account 136, and looking at road maintenance. 8,000 budgeted, 0 spent so far.
I never knew that so many people were interested in keeping that road open. Yeah, and they just claiming with the size of headers and everything, they get off of number 2 highway and for safety of everybody involved.
This makes sense.
So it does make sense. And I was originally in favor of permanently closing it, but when it was explained to me that people like to go up there with their 40-foot headers and things and not go through the town in Nesbit and just get off pavement, it makes sense.
Okay, so we have budget.
I believe that between the line items, there would be sufficient to accompany this.
There was another thing I wanted to add was that a utility contractor had been using that road in the past. With large equipment, often would get stuck. Previous public works manager had complained several times about them using it. And I do have a meeting with them this afternoon, to see if they could cover some of the costs. So I would have more information after.
So you want to do we'll proceed accordingly.
Yeah, if Councillor McDonald and Councillor McGregor are okay with the motion being changed to read, but a culvert being installed as the alternative method to deal with the water issue, be approved.
Could I have one? Do we have dry weather road up on there each end?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Has been for years.
Yeah, well, I figured so, but I just want to make sure they're still up. Thank you.
To give.
So the biggest problem is on GPS is people are blindly looking at their GPS on their vehicles and that shows a road open and they, like, I don't know how many vehicles have been stuck in there this year.
It's lots.
Yeah. Have a meeting, a reducer cost.
It may, but if it doesn't, there is money in the 3 line items.
Right, all in favor? Okay, be it resolved that this regular meeting does now adjourn to an in-camera meeting to discuss matters as per subsection 152 3B5 of the municipal act related to enforcement issues and all matters discussed in camera are confidential until discussed in an open meeting as per subject section 83 1D of the municipal act. With that, Fisher, seconder. All in favor? Okay, be it resolved that this in-camera meeting does now resume back to regular meeting. Councilor Fisher, seconder, Councilor McDonald, all in favor? Carried. So. I think it was like 60 days, that's only changed. Okay, be it resolved that the report to the building inspector dated September 3rd, 2024, with respect to the above start maintenance and occupancy building and fire inspections of lot 8 Brandon Hills Estates. Be it resolved that the report of the building inspector dated September 3rd, 2024, with respect to the above be received. Somebody move that. Donald, seconder. Gregor, all in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the building inspector be directed to the required removal and demolition order for lot 8 Brandon Hills Estates with a 60-day timeline and a requirement that disposal be at a legally established landfill site. Do that. Councilor Fisher, second Councilor McDonald, all in favor? Carry. Maintenance and occupancy building and fire inspections of 116 3rd Street, Wawanesa. Be it resolved, a report of their building inspector dated September 3rd, 2024, with respect to the above be received. Moved by Councillor Gregor, seconder, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the building inspector be directed to issue the required notice to board the single family dwelling at 116 3rd Street, Wawanesa, with a 30-day time frame, and include a requirement for the owner to provide a structural engineering report on structural conditions to the municipality within 60 days.
Or a plan of demolition.
Okay, or better do that again. The 30-day timeline and include a requirement of the owners to provide a engineer report on structural conditions for a plan of demolition to the municipality by November 15, 2024. Move that. Your second, Councillor Fisher. All in favor?
Yeah.
It be resolved that the building inspector be directed to issue a demolition order for exterior structure number 2 at 116 3rd Street, Wawanesa, being a detached accessory use storage structure with a 30-day timeline and requirement that disposal be made at a legally established landfill site. Moved by Councillor Baker, second Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Be it resolved that the building inspector be directed to issue a demolition order for exterior structure number 3 at 116 3rd Street, Wawanesa, being a detached accessory use lean-to structure with a 30-day timeline and requirement that disposal be made at a legally established landfill site. By Councillor McDonald, seconder, Councillor McGregor. All in favor? Be it resolved that building inspector be directed to issue a demolition order for exterior structure number 4 at 116 3rd Street, Wawanesa, being a detached accessory use garage structure with a 30-day timeline and requirement that disposal be at a legally established landfill site. Moved by Councillor Fisher, second Councillor McGregor. All in favor? Maintenance of non-fancy building and fire inspections at 405 5th Street, Wawanesa. Be it resolved that the report of the building inspector dated September 3rd, 2024, with respect to the above be received by Councillor second, Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Be it resolved that the building inspector be directed to issue her report for the owner of 405 5th Street, including the requirement for the owner to engage the services of a structural engineer to review the structure and provide a report to the municipality prior to the municipality commencing permitting processes.
By no later than
Okay, by no later than
November 15th, 2020.
moved by Councillor McGregor, second Councillor Fisher. All in favor? This one right here. Same deal.
Yeah.
You didn't change it. Okay, code of conduct reports. Be it resolved that the code of conduct reports previously considered in camera now be made available publicly following redaction of any specified information. By Councillor McDonald, seconder. Councillor McGregor, all in favor? This one. Be it resolved that the outstanding water bill for 112 3rd Street be included in the annual write-off process at year end. Moved by Councillor McGregor, second Councillor Fisher. All in favor? Be it resolved that administration work with the utility contractor to determine age, material, diameter, general condition, redundancy, back to the roof, etc., backup was rather, etc., following which a meeting will be held with council to determine issues such as criticality. Moved by Councillor Fisher, seconder. Donald, all in favor? Yes.
No, that is that.
Be resolved that this meeting is now adjourned. Meet again on October 15, 2024 at 9 a.m. at the municipal office in Wawanesa. Moved by Chairman, seconder. All in favor?